Well, last year ended with a bang. Literally. Someone trying to cross 7 lanes of traffic hit my car when I was coming home from work. Fortunately, we were both okay, and my car was still drivable, but I was left with this mess. That's where the positivity ends, though, because despite having a witness and having the right of way, the other driver's insurance stated that they did not accept fault because there were conflicting stories. The claims agent for his insurance even told me that he couldn't accept my witness's testimony because that guy could have been anybody. I fought this for 2 months, and the other insurance said, unless you have video footage, they're not going to accept the liability. So here I was with a broken car, a decently high deductible, and a little too much courage to try and save money and repair it myself. So let's do some math. There's probably over maybe $3,000 in damage, at least with the need for a new OEM headlight, which is about $800, paint and body work to the passenger fender and hood, headlight mount repair or a new one, a bumper valance, and a few other odd ends. I still needed to shell out at least $1,000 to meet my deductible, plus factor in the insurance increase to my premiums that it would add. So it would still be cheaper right now to get everything done, but what if I could do most of it myself for less than just half of my deductible, or anything less? That's what I'm going to try and do today. Well, at least enough to get it so I can feel like my car looks less like crap. Maybe I'll regret it, but at the end of the video, I'll tell you how much I spent to get this car what it looks like right now. Step 1 was to not repair anything, but actually get a dash cam so that all of this can be avoided in the future. Unfortunately, people aren't honest, so let the evidence speak for itself. If you don't have one, I strongly suggest investing in one, just based off my experience. So now let's actually start with the disassembly of the car. I was under a time crunch since I started this on a weekend, so this was all done under a little bit of pressure. Should be ready to come off. I think we got all those plastic retainers. What, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them? And this should just slide its way out. And here's my zip tie confection. The whole headlight is broken, so I had to tape it to stay together. Nothing fits. Now there's a screw on this side. Let me get this 10mm out. Boom. Now you can just put your hand behind and then wiggle out a little bit. Got the fog lights down here that we want to disconnect. So just push up on this tab and separate. Now the bumper should be free to come off. But in my case, there's lots of zip ties, so I might have to cut some things off. And yep, my zip tie contraption is keeping this stuck. Lots of broken plastic here on the grill and the headlight mount, so somewhat holding it together, this 10mm bolt. Those fasteners are removed. We should be able to just pull up here on both ends and then pull this out. I'm sure I could have saved some money here and tried to re-chrome the grill to get rid of all the wrinkling, but with the amount of broken plastic retaining clips and mounts, I figured it was worth it just to purchase a new one. So as we peel away the layers, we can start to see more of the damage. So obviously the impact was on this side, and this plastic cover here was broken. I don't think that it really serves much of a purpose except for maybe some support, but obviously that's all cracked. The wiring is honestly more important in my opinion, and that is all completely fine. Everything works on the front end, which is good. That's what it should look like, but you know, we have to make do. You could replace that, but that was one of those things that you can't see it, so I don't really care about it. But next, let's tackle this light. Now, honestly, I don't think there's a single thing holding this in except for that zip tie. So I'm gonna cut the zip tie. Usually there's 3 screws, 1, 2, and 3, but we have 0, so pretty easy to uninstall. Oh, and I forgot. Here's some of my ingenuity. I put some foam underneath here to keep the light somewhat balanced, because like I said, there's nothing holding this thing in place. Now let's undo some electrical connections. First one here, twist. There's one out, twist. That one will come out. This little light up here, same thing, twist and out. Another one down here. There's a little clip on the back we'll just remove. Last bulb will pull out of its socket. And here is the carnage. You can see it is all completely mangled, completely separated at multiple points. And again, here's some of my foam. You never know when foam will help you out. And this is the bracket assembly. Mount the light to here, here, and up here. But obviously this is not gonna work, so let's take it apart. And here's the first two fasteners we'll need to remove. Now we gotta disconnect the wire looms that are just kind of attached here. Gonna actually get this half out, just so it's easier to see what's going on. And there's two bolts here and here. Guessing 10 millimeter. Did I get this guy out? Yep. There's that. Looks like there's some wire loom that runs through there. So there's part of the assembly. Give it a shake. See, there's one more here. Switch to this. And there it is. Yet another part. The assembly stuck over here. And the final part of it is back here. And then now trying to get this stupid thing out. There's the last bolt. Well, we're off to a terrible start. Look at this. The part is broken. I mean, look at the way they shipped this thing. No wonder. This is ridiculous. I know that I could wait and deal with sending it back, but honestly, I'm just gonna do some plastic welding, because really the only issue besides the brokenness of a brand new part is this is the side mount of the old one, and you can see we have one here, but this one is completely gone. So I'm actually gonna cut this one out and plastic weld it in there. I don't know if it really matters, because honestly it might not hold, but I figure I give it a try. It's my car, I can do what I want. Isn't that the most beautiful thing you've ever seen? But look at that, man. It's solid. I don't have to wait any longer. Let's install it. Then for an amount of time I'm not proud to admit that it took, I struggled to place this mounting bracket in. So yeah, there's that. But I finally did get it in. And I wanted to keep everything loosely bolted in. That way I could line up the different mounting points and then come back after to tighten everything up. Thankfully, Jeep made most of these bolts 10 millimeter, which makes this job a little bit easier and a little bit less frustrating, especially after I had worked a long week and had to work on this on the weekend. Now let's tighten it all up. An hour's worth of work, and here's where we are. To make things a bit quicker, I then affixed the wiring harness back onto the mount, removed all the bulbs and sockets from the headlight wiring since I'll be upgrading to LEDs. I'll link them below if you're interested. Then was the fun game of trying to decipher the useless instructions and finding the connections between the car and the new headlights. And now for the moment I've been finally waiting for. No more zip ties to hold the light in. I actually get to put the bolts in. So nice. Now let's get the headlights to match, so start with this trim up here. I won't bore you since we just went through everything that needs to be done on this side, but first remove the trim so we can access the top headlight bolt. Remove the other 2 bolts. Carefully undo the electrical connections. Remove the bulbs and sockets. Install the light and affix to the mount. Boom. Now the grill. Just tabs here on the top that will sit in. A decent amount of finessing, but the grill clipped in and then I snugged down both bolts to fully lock it into place. It was coming together, and at this point I had worked about 3 to 4 hours after a long day of work, so I was ready to call it for the night. But I wanted to get at least the top side of the front end done so I could shut the hood for the night and feel accomplished. So I placed the trim on and weather stripping back in place and I called it for the day. It was the next day, and I saved the part that I was least excited for today, the actual bumper and valence. Mostly because I wasn't going to replace the bumper at this point, so I needed to do a few things to make it look decent. No simple parts swap today. Well, sorta. Anyway, first I wanted to remove the lower valence from the bumper so I could work on patching up the bumper. Yeah, don't judge me. Hey, if you subscribe, maybe I can afford a decent looking bumper by the next episode. But for now, we're getting this separated only to figure out that a little heat from a heat gun would make the plastic much more pliable and easier to separate from the 14-year-old plastic. Who'da thunk? Then, we'll start with drilling holes at the ends of the cracks on the bumper to stop them from spreading. Then tape off the front so the cracks stay closed. And I personally use GB Weld on these cracks to give them some support. It's not pretty, but it's functional, and honestly, JB Weld can fix even the strongest of broken marriages. Valence was shaped like a pretzel, so my handy heat gun helped to flatten out the bent edges to the shape of the bumper. Well, plug and play. Yeah, it wasn't as easy as plug and play like I said. I had to play with the valence to get it to line up with the bumper. The heat gun was pretty helpful for this, but it was definitely a trial of patience and my least favorite part so far of the process. And we haven't even done the patching or painting of the bumper yet. Yikes. Next was pulling some parts from the old broken valence and swapping them onto the new one. And of course breaking 90% of the plastic retaining clips in the process. This little kit saved my bacon because there are a lot of plastic fasteners here that will break when you take things apart. So having a kit on hand like this is extremely, extremely helpful. I got work tomorrow, so let's just get this on and revisit when we're ready for next steps. I connected the fog lights, secured the bumper on the sides and front of the car, secured it in place with its screws, added both sides fender flares, and about 12 hours of work over the course of 2 days was finally complete, and I was ready and glad to be done. Well, here's what I was able to do. Now remember, the goal was not perfection, but getting this turd to look a little bit less turdy over the course of a weekend at home. And I'm pretty stoked about these new LED lights and a bumper and valence that look less ugly and less like a dog had eaten them. The bumper will need some filling and painting, but that work will need to be addressed at a later point, and also the hood. But honestly, for now, I'm proud and really excited that I was able to do this all by myself and that I learned a lot through the process. So all in, with a new grill, bumper valence, headlights, and headlight mount, and some miscellaneous hardware, it was $511.03. So $488.97 less than just my deductible. So still some money to put toward the next phase of this project, but it's a good place to start. Now take my advice and get a dash cam so you don't have to deal with this ridiculousness. Thanks for watching, and if you'd like to see a part 2, let me know by commenting below and liking this video. As always, if you have advice or thoughts, leave them below. I always enjoy reading your guys' feedback. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.